Greetings. Welcome to the show. Glad you joined me today. This is the Vibrant Living Hour on New Thought Media Network. I am Ken Ludwig, and I think I did something for the first time today. I think I did it all right, and that is to produce my own show, to set this all up. We use this incredible technology called StreamYard, and literally, I set it up and do it all by myself. Normally, there's a producer in the background, but I'm perfectly capable of doing it all by my lonesome, which is pretty amazing how far technology has come. When I did my original radio show back in 2008 to 2013, my original show was on Skype, and it was just, of course, it was just a radio show. It wasn't a podcast, but you couldn't do it by yourself. You had to have somebody in the background putting that stuff all together, or it wasn't going to work. Anyway, so hi, how are you? I hope you're having a fabulous day. Hope everything is just moving and grooving to your liking and reflecting your vision of the next highest picture of you. What's going to go on with you in this next step of your life? I figure if you're somebody who's watching New Thought Media Network, you're at least partially connected to the idea that we create our own lives, and we create it primarily by our focus, by our thoughts, and what are we putting our attention on repeatedly? What are we putting our attention on creatively, feeling it, knowing that it's there, and we create our own lives. So I've been giving you an update on my back every week, and I really that's kind of the core piece of my treatment for my back, if you will, is knowing that I am creating this healed version of me. I guess that's the simplest way to put it. So those of you who have been paying attention, and hang on a second here while I open up the comments in the chat. Anybody who wants to say hi or ask a question, here I am. But anyway, so the Reader's Digest version, if you will, for those of you who are old enough to understand what the Reader's Digest version might be. But I got a diagnosis from my doctor that I was going to be experiencing some degenerative disc disease, which is the deterioration of the disc between your vertebrae. It's kind of important. And along with that came a bout of sciatica that has been from the left side to the right side. I don't know that the left side was caused by the same thing as the right side. The right side primarily seems to be a function of the disc problem. But at any rate, the sciatica was like a 2-year ordeal. And I'm sitting here in front of you really basically right now, pain-free. And I think I mentioned before that my doctor told me in a phone conference that my positive attitude and my proactive stance on how to take care of this were going to make all the difference in the world, because so many people who get to be in my age bracket, I'm 70, so many people who get to be this age, they start to experiencing these little things that just kind of deteriorate. You know, your body does age, no matter how much I lean into vibrant living and vibrant aging. The body is 70 years old, and even if I manage to pull off the extreme limits and make it to 120, I'm still more than halfway there. So things are not always exactly the way they should be. And this positive attitude and this proactive stance have led me to pretty much just I ignore all medications except over the counter, primarily for this kind of stuff. And I was taking, in the beginning, I was experimenting different days, ibuprofen, acetaminophen, and aspirin, playing with them back and forth. Doctors have all kinds of reasons um, why one is preferable over another. It seems to me that talk to 5 different doctors, you're going to get at least 2 or 3 different opinions on what to take and when to take it. But anyway, it wasn't until, I'm sorry, back up a little bit. It was obvious to me that there needed to be some stretching and some separation of the spine, if you will, some putting some distance between the vertebrae of the spine, because the compression of them on these degenerating discs was having an effect on the nerves, and in particular the sciatic nerve. So I was focusing on being able to do that. First thing I did was buy an inversion table, and then discovered that it was really hard to use it because I was in so much pain. I started taking CBD, a specific CBD. This CBD. I have this is a CBD, and full disclosure, I always tell you this. This is a CBD that I represent, that I sell, and that comes in 3 different strengths: 500 milligrams, 750 milligrams, and 1500 milligrams. And I'm learning as time goes by, and as I become more familiar with this product, but also with become more familiar with all of the ins and outs of the endocannabinoid system and the benefits of cannabinoids, in particular CBD, CBG is another one, on the different systems of the body. I had been using the 750 milligram, the 500 milligram. I really think it's for somebody who maybe just wants to maintain, maybe I think the word is analgesic, where you just want it, to just kind of help your body. To just give you the benefits of stimulating the endocannabinoid system. 750 milligram, which is what I was taking because I don't sleep all that well, and I was looking for something to facilitate sleep. And I'm not a stressed out person. You've heard me talk about this before, but I discovered very early on that if I do get stressed, I get very stressed, and 1 dropper full of CBD under my tongue eliminates that feeling in 5 minutes or less. But then I started to think about the pain in my back, particularly the nerve pain of the sciatica. It was what was preventing me from doing anything proactive in helping to alleviate the tension or the pressure in my back, the compression in my back. So I got some of the 1500 milligram CBD, and its effect was almost immediate, that it relieved the pain, and I started to be able to stretch and to do yoga and to exercise, and in particular to focus on my core strength. I talked a little bit about some of that last week. I have been working very hard on my core strength. One of the things I noticed that is part of my aging process is I found myself falling into some of the habits that men tend to have as they get older. We maybe slouch a little bit, and as we slouch, our bellies go out and our butts go back. That actually contributes to one of the reasons why we start to shrink as we get older, because literally your spine collapses into your pelvis because of that slouching, belly out, butt back, spine goes right into the pelvis. So that's what yoga is all about, by the way, is putting distance between those bones of the spine, and it helps you to remain erect. But core strength is imperative on that. And what I realized was that even though I'm in great shape and I've got good musculature from working out, I really haven't focused all that much attention on my core. And your core is all important, man. It's what keeps you upright and erect through life. I mean, it's how you sit up, stand up, walk, whatever, squat, crouch, you name it, everything but sleep. And your spine is your core. I mean, is helping to keep your spine straight. So I started working a lot on core strength. Now I have to be careful about core strength because I have to recognize that I have this experience of some degenerating discs, and I want to make absolutely certain that I am being mindful of them and taking care not to do any damage back there. So I have been doing some modified crunches. I explained those a little bit last week. It's hard to describe them. They're different. They're really they take a lot of the pressure off of the spine as you do the crunch. And if anybody wants to know more about those, just let me know, and I'll be glad to maybe describe them to you in a Zoom or a phone call, and we'll figure it out that way. But I was doing these modified crunches. I was doing back extensions. You put your hands behind you, basically face down, hands behind your back, and just do kind of a reverse crunch. And that is really about, as you do that exercise, you are engaging your glutes, your abs, and your lower back muscles. So, and the last piece of that puzzle is planks. Do planks however you want. I do the low plank because for some reason I was told it was better. I actually have in the past much preferred the high plank because I felt the low plank was a little bit of an irritant on my shoulders. So I did the high plank. Regardless, I try and do at least 50 long, deep breaths. I don't know how much time that amounts to. I used to do up to 100, then I stopped doing them for a year, and it's amazing how long it takes to get back up to 100 breaths if you haven't done them for a while. So those are all things that I'm doing to strengthen that core. Another thing that you can do that everybody and anybody can do is walk. Walking is a tremendous benefit for your core strength. And actually you can, if when you walk, you are conscious of kind of lifting your pelvic bone, kind of moving it forward and lifting it and tightening your abs and engaging your glutes, you will find that walking can be an incredible exercise. I find that it's almost impossible for me to engage those three areas, the pelvic bone, the abs, and the glutes in one, for any period of time. I can do it for a couple of minutes while I'm walking. And then when you kind of release it, it feels like, wow, that was very much an exercise, wasn't it? So there you go. So that's not the complete back thing. So it allowed me to do that. Here I am today. I am, like I said earlier, I'm sitting here in front of you almost pain-free. I woke up this morning, a little bit of pain in my lower back. I'm conscious that both the sciatic nerves, left and right, I was conscious that they were there. Not that they hurt, but just that they were not, there was something inflaming them or irritating them or whatever. I sat down for my meditation this morning. And when I got up from my meditation, some hour and 10 minutes later, I was absolutely 100% pain-free. Now, what I'm doing in my meditation, I've explained many times, is what I call the Joe Dispenza work. I am focusing my attention on each of the discs running up my spine from the lumbar vertebrae L5, from that disc all the way up to the thoracic T7 vertebrae. And then I just kind of do a general from T7 all the way up through my thoracic and cervical spines. But I focus on each individual disc and love it as it rehydrates and regenerates. And I also focus on some other things that just personal things on organs in my body. Nothing I'm taking medicine for, nothing I have that's ill, just some things I'd like to improve a little bit. And I literally got up from that meditation this morning, pain-free. So it is a holistic approach. There is a mental, emotional, spiritual, and physical component to every single aspect of your lives. That includes healing. It involves every component: mental, emotional, spiritual, and physical. You have to engage them all. So I guess that's a pretty good description of what's going on with my back. I do want to just stop and think for a second, just focus for a minute on the exercise piece. Exercise, yeah, I mean, exercise is beneficial for your body, right? We all know that. And so I'm sorry, I'm trying to adjust something here. Okay, so there you go. If you want to email me, there's my new email here at New Thought Media Network, ntmedia.org. Ken at ntmedia.org. So exercise is something that we all know is beneficial for our bodies. We all know, everybody knows it helps to prevent heart disease. It helps your lung capacity. It helps prevent bone loss. If if you do some resistance training, it helps with bone loss. It's a great exercise, an amazing thing for women in preventing osteoporosis. You can help control your blood sugar, and it's great for weight loss. And it can absolutely help with pain. And that's part of this piece about updating on my back. Exercising can help with pain in so much as getting stronger, building muscle can absolutely mitigate pain in your body by helping to support whatever it is that's out of whack. In particular, I'm talking about arthritis. And I don't know if anybody out there is dealing with arthritis. I have a just a little bit of arthritis in my hands, and I think I have a little bit in my knees, but nothing earth-shaking. And for 70 years old, I think I'm richly blessed around that department. But I think part of that has to do with the fact that I exercise, that I take care of myself a lot, that I work on making sure that I stay in shape. And it's interesting, as I have been experiencing the issue with the back and the issue with the sciatica, I have become very much more engaged in the things that I am not doing, the parts of me that I am not taking care of, and just kind of up leveling all of that. I'm working harder. I'm actually focusing for the first time in my life. I actually have days. I have like an arm day, a chest day, a leg day, and a shoulder day, shoulder and back day. And I never did that before in my life. But I'm doing that and following the advice of some videos that I found on YouTube for people over a certain age. Pick your age, whatever you want. Most of mine come in as over 50, but there are some for over 60, and there are even some for over 70 that will help you to do exercises that won't cause damage. I mean, that's one of, I've talked about this before as well, but you want to make sure that you're doing exercises that are well within your capability, and that you don't push yourself so hard as to overstress, in particular as you get older, joints. You start stressing out your joints and doing damage to them, and you're just asking for trouble, and it's not going to help. It's not going to help. So do things that are appropriate, age appropriate, if you will. One of my least favorite expressions in the world, but do age appropriate exercises. The other thing that was occurring to me when I was thinking about exercise was the equipment. Now, I've talked to you before. I have across from me here down in my office, I have a Nordic Track. I bought that Nordic Track in 1991. Okay, that's one of the original Nordic Tracks. It is 30 years old. And trust me when I tell you, it spent at least half of that time as a decoration in my exercise room, because I've never been a real fan of aerobics. I'm from the no pain, no gain generation. I want to lift weights. And there's other reasons for that for me as a young man, my physiology, blah, 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 blah. You don't need to know all that. But I also have a Bowflex over there, and I have a weight bench with free weights, and I have a decent collection of dumbbells. And I have discovered that most of the exercises I'm doing these days are with dumbbells. So you don't need a lot of equipment, and you don't even need the dumbbells. If you get on the internet, my mother used to say the internet is a devil's plot. In a lot of ways, she was 100% right, but there's a lot of information out there that we can use to help ourselves and to live a better life and to take care of ourselves. Just Google body weight exercises, and you'll get, as always, a gazillion different variations of things you can do, from push-ups to pull-ups and chin-ups and crunches and squats and all kinds of different things you can do that are body weight exercises that are every bit as good as lifting weights, especially as you get older. Less of an opportunity for strain if you're just using your own body weight as opposed to tossing around weights. So the conclusion: you do not need equipment. If you want to get equipment, I would seriously suggest to you that you start very simple. Start very, very, very simple. Use the dumbbells and start with low weights and work your way up. And I started with, I think the first dumbbells I ever bought, I think, were 25 pounders. And then somewhere along the line, I bought 35s. But then I've also filled in with 15s and 10s for different exercises that I do. And I've always had a set of 5s that originally my beloved Lisa used to do Tai Bo on the TV with Billy Blanks. But she doesn't use them much anymore either, because she has gotten so strong doing the exercises that she does. So you don't need equipment. Start simple. If you want to graduate from if you want to graduate from dumbbells and you don't want to spend a bucket load of money, go with a weight bench and a weight set. You can buy, I don't know what you can pay for a weight set these days, but the typical, when I was young, 110-pound weight set, which is what I started with, back then it was like $29.95. I think probably you can get it for less than $100 at this point in time. Isn't that a great commentary? Time for a sip. So that's my exercise piece for today. Last week we talked about my new favorite book here, Growing Bolder. And last week, I think if it's this, um, I think it was this last chapter here, the launch pad, a launch pad to what's next. And the launch pad to what's next is don't retire, aspire. And here's what I want to tell you. And I don't want this all, this is about vibrant living. I don't want it to be 100% about vibrant aging, but I think a lot of us, even when we're younger, people set up their mindset so that they're looking to retirement. When am I going to get to retire? Stop it. If you're thinking about it, stop it. Because retiring seems to be a pathway to going from active to inactive to declining to dead. And you want to stay engaged. You want to be doing something. You want to always be doing something. If you quotes retire from your job, I love the idea of don't retire from your job, just rewire to something else and go in, rewire into a hobby, rewire into volunteer work, rewire into a part-time job of doing something that you really love. I did something last year before the pandemic hit. I was actually working for a company that did event staffing, and I went to a place here local in Colorado called the Mission Ballroom. It was a new music venue. It's quite honestly the single best music venue I've ever been in. I love the place. I think they seat a maximum of 4,500 people. I saw Bob Dylan there. I mean, I saw the last concert I saw before they shut us down was Dwight Yoakam. They had every kind of music imaginable. I saw the Lumineers. I saw the Heart and the Head. So I just saw all kinds of people there, and it was a lot of fun. I made $13 an hour or $14 an hour, whatever it was, doing this. But I was out of the house. I was making a few dollars, and I was interacting with the world and having a grand old time, especially in this time in history when loneliness, especially from this pandemic, loneliness is an absolute epidemic right now. And people are literally offing themselves because they're so lonely. Get out into places like that. You can actually find jobs there. I don't care what town you live in. Go to find out who does the security at your local baseball games, football games. They're almost always looking for employees. I don't care what age you are. But as we're opening up here, this gives you an opportunity to get out into the world, into pretty safe environments, because they're all really kind of honoring what they need to honor to make sure that they don't get people sick. So stay engaged. Learn to say yes. A lot of people have grown older. Actually, maybe they just got old during this pandemic, and they're younger people. I know people in their 30s and 40s and their early 60s. I know people that are just desperate for contact, to get out and do things. And they consequently, though, from the pandemic, a lot of us have learned to sit down and watch television or read a book or do whatever we do that doesn't involve engaging with other people because we're whatever, we're not supposed to, because it doesn't fit the idea of social distancing. Whatever that looks like for you, figure out a way to start saying yes to doing things, doing more. I've told you before, the universe is inviting you 24/7, 365. The universe is inviting us, each and every one, to be more. And how do you accept the invitation? Just do it. If you start doing things that you haven't done before, if you start doing things that you're called to do that are brand new, if you start doing them, you are more. You are rewiring your brain, and you have become more than what you were before. We need to move out of the hibernation mode, if you will, the quarantine mode. You need to get out of that. And I think a lot of people are stuck there. Lots and lots of noise by people who want to get out. They're making plenty of noise, whether you're, never mind. But there are other people who are in the quiet, who have become isolated. And when you become isolated, more often than not, it's easy to remain isolated. So get yourself unisolated. What happens is when you get isolated, you start to get depressed. When you start to get depressed, you get frozen, and you don't say yes, you say nothing but no. In fact, you don't even entertain the questions enough to answer yes or no. And that sense of depression, that sense of idleness causes immense stress in the body. Stress, of course, immediately triggers sugar cravings or salt cravings, depending on what your preference is. Are you a savory person or a sweet person? Whatever it is that you favor, it triggers those, and we wind up eating. That's why everybody's got their quarantine 15 or their COVID 10 or whatever the heck it is. So many people have put on some weight, and what does that lead to? You know what? That leads to more feelings of stress. Excuse me. To stress and depression. You know, once again, get up and do things. Get up and do things. The opposite of depression is expression. Get up and express somehow, some way. Do this. You know what? If you want to get out in the world, get on your social media, get on Facebook and do a Facebook Live. Say hi to your family and friends. Set up a Zoom with your family and friends. If you have not yet mastered the Zoom for socializing, trust me, it's a no-brainer. It's a genius move to hook that up. My beloved Lisa hooked up all of my friends and family for my 70th birthday back in December, and we had over 30 people participate in something that took 3.5 hours. We were socializing on that Zoom, man, and we had a great time. A lot of laughs, a lot of old stories, so forth and so on. It's a great way to just get kind of socialize, to socialize the best we can if you're still kind of frozen in place, which, sorry, but that's probably where a lot of people are. So another piece of that, twofold. You want to get out of the stress situation. You want to get out of the depression. You also want to help yourself lose those quarantine 15. Move yourself right into fruits and vegetables, folks. Just can't stress enough. The more vibrant the color, the healthier the fruit or the vegetable is. The more vibrant the color, the more antioxidants it contains. The more antioxidants it contains, believe it or not, the better you will feel. I think we've talked about this before. Everything is fueled by your nutrition. Everything is fueled by your nutrition. You can point to any part of your life that's uplifting. If it's uplifting, you probably had something good to eat. If you're depressed, you probably had something lousy to eat. Those things matter. If you're physically fit, you're probably eating well. If you're not, you're probably eating like crap. You're probably eating SAD, SAD, the standard American diet. Lots of carbs, lots of sugars, lots of chemicals, lots of food-like substances, very little in the area of greens, way too much animal protein, lots and lots and lots of breads, pastas, cereals, those kinds of things. And you feel like crap. A good deal of that is because so much of those kinds of foods are processed. Processed foods are where we get those food-like substances. We're eating things that remind our tongue of food, but don't remind any other part of our body of food. There's no nutritional value. In fact, there are a lot of these things that we are eating now, science will tell us, are being interpreted by our bodies as invaders, causing inflammation. Inflammation, of course, being the killer. Inflammation is what causes the vast majority of premature death and aging. So everything should be fueled by good nutrition. Step back to what we talked about earlier, exercise. Exercise has got to be fueled by good nutrition. You need to have things. I use a product. It's a beet product. It's a dried beet juice product. I use it pre-exercise along with my shake and a protein drink. I put them all together, and before I exercise in the morning, that beet juice, I think I've said this before on the show. I've said it so many times, I don't know where I've said it, where I haven't said it. But truthfully, when I am lifting weights, I'm stronger. If I'm doing cardio, I have more endurance. It's that simple. That's what beet juice does. It forces nitric oxide through your system, which literally oxygenates every single cell of your body. You just feel better. The shake is all 100% non-GMO, organic, plant-based nutrition. It has just, it's got a little bit of everything in it. It's hard to tell you what else. And the protein drink has a massive amount of, once again, plant-based protein. I also take that amino product I mentioned to you last week, the master amino acid pattern, which is the 8 most essential amino acids in the perfect sequence to build muscle tissue. And if you're exercising, it builds muscle tissue. It builds muscle tissue like nothing else on the planet. So those are the things that I use to exercise with. I also have a follow-up when I'm done. I have more of my green shake. I may have a little bit more of the beet juice and some more protein. That's if I'm lifting weights. If I'm going for a long walk or cardio or something like that, then I'm cutting that back a little bit. That second shake is probably not as big a deal. But the idea is to provide my body with the nutrition that it needs to do what I'm trying to do, which is build muscle and stay in shape. Always remember, never, ever, ever forget the single most surefire way to forestall the aging process is to continue to build muscle tissue on your body as long as you live. And you can do that almost with with every single thing that sounded like exercise that I've mentioned in this last 30 minutes. That's absolutely stuff that will build muscle. Everything from walking to weightlifting. It will all work. And it will all change your life. It'll change your longevity. And if you continue to do it, you'll do that big, my new pet thing that we talked so much about on the last show, which is to adopt positive lifestyle modifications, PLM, in order to compress your morbidity. Wow. A refresher for those who weren't with us last week. Compressing your morbidity is about shortening the time at the end of your life where you are suffering, where you have a lousy quality of life, where you're in the hospital or on medications or doped up or just or whatever. To shorten that from months or years to days or weeks, maybe hours. I told you in this incredible book, there's lots of stories of people who remained very active in their lives, exercising, bike riding, doing all kinds of serious movement, if you will, in their 90s. And they tell the one story I remember. I can't remember what this person did, but there was a very, very, very active person who was still very active at like 95 or 97. And they had scheduled an interview with him to talk about how being active has helped his life and his lifestyle and his quality of life. And the only problem was they didn't get to have the interview because he passed away before he got there. How long was he sick? 3 days. I think he had like a heart attack and he was in bed for 3 days and passed. As opposed to other people who spend months and years in agony, in wheelchairs and blah, 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 you name it. Compressing your morbidity is huge, but affirming, embracing, accepting, embracing, just kind of bringing into your life, the words are escaping me in the moment, but the positive lifestyle modifications. Make a decision. I made a huge decision last night for myself about where am I going? What am I doing in this life? What do I really want to accomplish? And am I accomplishing it? 10 days ago or so, I had a conversation with a beautiful 44-year-old young friend of mine. She was having some issues with being 44 years old and being really disappointed in where she was in her life. And it really made me stop and think how blessed I am, first of all, to be 70 years old. I know more than a handful of people who live the same lifestyle I did, the sex, drugs, and rock and roll lifestyle, that ain't here anymore. They didn't make it. I am so richly blessed to be here. But what occurs to me is that somewhere along the line, you have to learn to reset, to reset, to readjust, to refocus, to restart, to just kind of do it over again. I thought about how many times in my life I have had to reinvent myself. Do it. It's not impossible. A lot of times it forces you into some of those positive lifestyle modifications, but do it. Learn to say yes, learn to move, learn to seek that next highest vision of who you came here to be and what you came here to do in this life. And don't ever let yourself become disappointed in where you're at and how you got here without what's the words? I arrived here and I'm not happy that I got here, or if I wish I'd have paid more attention, I wouldn't be here, or I'd have gotten somewhere better, or all of those things are just kind of knocking yourself, knocking where you're at in the world. Don't find something else to do with yourself. I love the idea of finding that, like I did with the event staffing. I love the idea of finding something different outside of the house. I love the idea of staying engaged in networking groups. I love the idea of my main source of making a living, network marketing, just because I'm networking, because I'm dealing with people all the time and learning. One of the things that I love about what I do in the world is that I am learning every single day. I learn more and more and more about nutrition, about the human body, about how to take care of it, about how to take care of myself in particular, about how to about how to develop my immune system, or not develop, or to facilitate a healthy immune system. You cannot build an immune system. I'm sorry, that's not true. That's not the way I meant to say that. You cannot consume an immune system. All of these things out there, all of these supplements and nutrients that are gonna make you immune to the virus or immune to this, that, or the other thing. That's just not true, because the bottom line is you have to take the only place you can produce an immune system is within. Your body produces your immune system, and you have to do that by presenting it with the absolute best ingredients you can give it so that it can create those immune functions, those immune facets that keep you safe and healthy. Time for a sip. I can hear my mouth getting dry. I don't know if you can hear it, but I sure can. That's one of the benefits of what I do. It's learning all about that stuff. I've told you before, but and it's this is worth repeating because it's so important. In the early 1990s, there were some studies being done, and I don't know if one or several of them produced the results, but there were some studies being done around why THC, which is the psychoactive ingredient, is a psychoactive cannabinoid in the cannabis plant. It's actually THC is tetrahydrocannabinol. And there were some studies being done on that as to why we get high. How does it affect the human body that we get that psychoactive effect, that we get high? In studying that, science discovered the endocannabinoid system. It is a complex system of receptors on literally every single cell in your body. Not all of them, virtually all of them, but not all. In other words, every cell of your body has receptors to receive cannabinoids, to be stimulated by cannabinoids. And actually, it's called the endocannabinoid system. Endo means within, and it is the cannabinoid system within where we actually produce some cannabinoids. That's a science I haven't delved into simply because we don't produce enough to literally activate or to effectively activate that endocannabinoid system, which is, I like to simplify it as our stress regulating system and all the aspects of stress we can think of. Your first experience of cannabinoids comes from mother's milk. There are cannabinoids in mother's milk. But the reason I'm pointing this out to you or telling you about this is because I am fascinated by the fact that all the science for the endocannabinoid system, for CBD, THC, CBG, all of those facets, the over 100 cannabinoid compounds in the cannabis plant, all of that science is, and its effect on our bodies, is literally less than 30 years old. Tells us a lot about how little we know about the human body, but it also tells us a lot about how the science is growing exponentially. They only discovered it 30 years ago. And I want to give you an example here. Excuse me. About, I don't know, well, 50 years ago, more than that, when I was a teenager in my early 20s on Long Island, which is where I grew up, I had hay fever. I had it pretty badly. I lived on, I think, Alarest, which was there were Alarest and something else that I can't remember. I think it began with a C, that were the cold medications. I'm sorry, the allergy medications of the day. They were the original allergy medications, because before them, there weren't any. But I lived on those during the spring and summertime, and I worked for a landscaper as a kid. So it was, I was out in the pollen all day, every day, itchy eyes, runny nose, sneezing, blah, blah, blah. Sometimes it was absolutely miserable. When I moved to Colorado in 1975, my hay fever just pretty much went away. Much drier out here, and just, the less pollen, because there's less variety is part of that. But it went away. And then a half a dozen years or so, it reappeared. And I seem to have a real sensitivity to pine pollen, which is very interesting, because I don't think I had that earlier in my life. But anyway, I've been taking modern day over-the-counter allergy medication for the last many years. Last week, an affiliate of mine in my network marketing business with My Daily Choice, this affiliate of mine said he had a potential customer who wanted to know if CBD had any effect on seasonal allergies. And my honest answer was, I don't know, but I knew where to go, right? Go right to almighty Google. And I went right there and I looked it up, and lo and behold, CBD has a tremendous ability to curtail the production of histamines. Histamines is what gives you the itchy eyes, the runny nose, and the sneezing and sniffling. That's why everything that is an over-the-counter allergy medication is full of antihistamines, to prevent those histamines from forming and giving you those responses, those reactions. So I told my new affiliate the good news, and I immediately went where? I went right to my 1,500 milligram CBD, and lo and behold, I take this different days, once a day, maybe 3 times a day, and the symptoms of hay fever or seasonal allergies are gone literally in seconds, as opposed to over-the-counter medication, which might take 5 or 10 minutes. Now, I do want to tell you, this is an important piece of the puzzle here. I see they have CBD in the gas station. They have CBD everywhere. I want to tell you, this is really important. All CBD is not created equal. I think it is simply the most important plant nutritional / plant medicine that has been uncovered in the last maybe half a century, maybe forever. Because it works on so many, virtually all of the systems of your body. Because it is reacting with your stress regulating system. And as I've said before, it facilitates homeostasis, which is balance. Everything in your body that is out of whack, from hay fever, mine, to arthritis, to pain, to illnesses, that's all your body out of balance. CBD helps to create the balance that you need. Now, understand again, all CBD is not created equal. It just isn't. It's not. Some of it is literally junk. I always tell people it's the Wild West out there, because there literally is no there's no regulation. It's everybody is taking care of themselves. Everybody's regulating themselves. Well, in a country where profit at all costs is the overarching motivational factor of business, then you have no idea what you're getting in this bottle. Now, the company I represent, this is hugely important to me. Every single ingredient in this bottle, which is all cannabidiol, which is what CBD is, all of it is tracked from seed to soil to oil, so that we have a third-party validation telling us exactly what is in this, and that we are getting the 1,500 milligrams that it says in here. And I'll give you a great example here. Just before, my beloved Lisa and I, a couple of weeks ago, went to North Carolina. When we went to North Carolina, we were waiting on our regular shipment of our CBD, and on the 1,500s that I had bought strictly for my pain, and didn't come in time before we left. So I went to the health food store and I bought a 1,200 milligram bottle of CBD. It was very inexpensive, and now I know why, because it didn't do a damn thing. That was in our health food store. In our health food store, a highly respected health food store, a health food store that is well known for their consciousness of their ingredients. This was not one of the big national names. This was a small local Colorado organization. And it didn't do anything. So I guess what I'm saying is, A, be careful what you're going to buy if you're going to buy CBD. B, if you really want to do it right, just but call me. I hate to sound like I'm selling you stuff, but the truth of the matter is, I am one of the things that I do in this world is represent companies in the nutritional field. I represent 3 different companies. One of them is an totally non-GMO, all organic, plant-based nutritional company, and the other one is the company that has the CBD, as well as several other brands under one roof. It's called My Daily Choice, and please come and ask me about it if you want to know more about it. I did want to tell you something that I find fascinating with this company, and please don't misunderstand this as a sales pitch, because I don't mean it that way. I want to tell you something about, I think it's about where nutritional science products companies are going in this world. This company that I'm with, My Daily Choice, they were started in 2014 by a genius, and I don't say that lightly. This man is a certifiable genius, who was at the age of 15 was like number 20 or 23 in the world in chess. That's just a different kind of brain right there. And he started this company, and he started it with several ideas in mind, that he wanted to take the idea of network marketing to a different level. He wanted it to be about the people who are distributing the products as opposed to the company. And he started out with a bunch of nutritional sprays. And I want to just show you a little bit of this. These nutritional sprays are, I kind of looked at them in the beginning when we first got involved. I was very much involved for the CBD products, for that line, which is just an extensive line: hair care, skin care, topicals, pain relief cream, and all the tinctures, dog treats. I mean, just, a full line of CBD products. But I looked askance a little bit at the sprays because they just didn't speak to me. And then we started having some experiences on my team. We have a young lady on the team who used this one spray called Trim 365. I don't know if you can see these on here, but it's called Trim 365. This particular spray, this woman was very overweight. She lost 30 pounds. And what was she doing? She was doing this. Spraying that under her tongue, and then swishing it around on her cheeks and her tongue, and swallowing it. She was doing that a couple of times a day. And she was doing, along with that, another product here that is a detox product. She just did that once a day. She lost 30 pounds, and she started to get our entire team who's with this company involved in doing a challenge. And the next thing you know, everybody's losing all kinds of weight. Now I'm paying attention to these sprays, and I'm going, wow, these things work. There's one here that's for energy. I use this. It works. So many of the energy things out there are heavily dosed in regular caffeine, and they get you all hyped up, and what I call the flash and crash of caffeine, because eventually your body wants to seek what? Oh, homeostasis, and get back in balance, and it fights the caffeine, and that's why you sometimes, after you've had too much of it, or when it wears off, you start to feel tired. That's your body trying to get back to normal. So anyway, there's a keto one that works for oh God, I don't. It works on certain cells of the body and their performance. There's one for exercise. There's one for cognitive health. There's one for hair, skin, and nails. There's one for passion. Which it works on your libido, of course. But they're there, and it's an amazing line of products. They started with 4. I think we now have 8 or 10, and they actually built a company on just 4 sprays. They built a company over the course of 2.5 or 3 years from $0 to $10 million on those first 4 sprays. Boggles my mind. And now with the addition of the other brands on this particular company, they'll be over a $200 million company this year, which will be their 7th year in existence, which is, I think, beyond phenomenal. I think if you look those kinds of things up, you'll find out it is beyond phenomenal. But excuse me, once again, for me, it's about making sure that what I am putting in my body is the highest quality stuff I can find anywhere. I don't represent products that I don't promote products that I don't feel are the healthiest products I can find anywhere. And that's not part of the sales pitch. That's just simply telling you, I believe that's what you should be doing as well. Nothing should go in your body that you do not know is to be of the highest quality ever. Now, do you live your life that way all the time? No. When I used to coach a lot of people, I've coached hundreds of people through nutritional cleansing and weight loss protocols, and I used to get on the phone with them for an accountability call, and they would say, "Well, I cheated this week," and I say, "You know what? Let's stop you right there. Let's not talk in terms of cheating, because cheating sounds like you were doing something dishonest. You actually had a treat, not a cheat." And we have to be able to treat ourselves. We can't get involved in a nutritional protocol where we feel like we're being deprived or denied, because the answer is, for almost 100% of us, we're going to quit. We may quit in 5 months. We may quit in 5 weeks. We may quit in 5 minutes, but we're going to quit, because you can't continually feel like you're being deprived or that something is being held back from you without feeling some resentment and eventually just giving up on whatever it is you're doing that's making you feel that way. That just makes nothing but good common sense, right? You have to be able to have a treat. I have a really good friend who is 3 years younger than me. He works out religiously. He works out really, really well. He's very, very, very blessed in that he is already retired for several years. He gets to he plays a lot of pickleball with his friends. He does a lot of exercising. I think he goes to the gym 3 or 4 times a week. He, again, 3 years younger than me. He's got 8% body fat. And he and his wife, they eat a pretty seriously strict regimen of food all week long. But when the weekend comes, all bets are off, and they eat what they want. Now, I think that's a really, really good way to look at this, at the entire idea of your nutritional paradigm from the standpoint of making sure that you're being as healthy as you possibly can, but also allowing yourself to live and enjoy and have some of the things that might bring you real joy in this world. I think I spell it ice cream. Of course, you always got to be careful with the sugar and all that other stuff, but I think you get my point. Do it however it works for you. Do it however it feels comfortable for you, as far as allowing yourself the treats. Just don't let the treats become part of your daily nutritional habit, because now you're not helping yourself. Good nutrition helps you feel better in every way. It actually triggers the production of endorphins, which those are your happy hormones, if you will, the things that make you feel good. If you eat, this is one of my favorites. I can't believe I haven't thought about this in a while. If you eat the dark chocolate thing, lots of us have convinced ourselves that dark chocolate's a health food because it's so good for you. Well, one of the things dark chocolate does is it stimulates the production of a hormone called anandamide, or anandamide, depending on who you're talking to. Anandamide is actually called the bliss hormone because it makes you feel so good. You know what else triggers anandamide? Cocaine. That's one of the reasons why it's so hard to get rid of, because it makes us feel so good. But the flip side of cocaine is chocolate, where you don't ever have to worry about going to jail for eating too much chocolate or for getting caught with chocolate in your pocket. Anandamide is named after an assistant to Buddha who was Ananda. Ananda was known, if I recall this correctly, Ananda was known as the acolyte who knew the most about the history of the Buddha and the Buddha's teachings. I think that's close. But Ananda literally means, in Sanskrit, it means joy, bliss. So if you need a treat, dark chocolate's your answer. And that'll fit into your whatever paradigm you're doing, whatever protocol you're doing. Anyway, got off on a lot of tangents there today. I have my whiteboard over here, and I have my thoughts on what I want to talk about, and I'm not sure I talked about any of them, but that's okay. My Facebook page is Vibrant Aging, which is a corollary to this show, the Vibrant Living Hour. Vibrant living is about making sure that you take care of yourself in the healthiest, most sustainable ways you possibly can. And that leads to vibrant aging, which is what we talk about when we talk about the book Growing Bolder. It's about how you, I guess, you know what, it almost seems to me like it's all in that one phrase. Compress your mortality. That's the key. To me, it almost becomes the end all and be all of growing older. You want to do it in such a way as to spend as little time at the end in the throes of death, if you will, as you possibly can. I want to go from active to dead. I don't want to go from active to miserable to decrepit to decaying to depressed to dead. No, thank you, period. I'd rather go the other way around. Go kicking and screaming right into the end. Don't forget, New Thought Media is a 501c3 nonprofit organization. We are very dependent, and as we grow, we become more dependent on your generosity and your donations. Please go to ntmedia.org and click on the donate button and give us a donation. And let's see if I can find that little banner so I can put that up for you. It should be right nearby, and there it is. Go to ntmedia.org and click on donate. We'll be absolutely thrilled to take whatever you have to support this positively inspiring radio or podcast. I always want to say radio because it's what I did for so many years. This is not a radio. This is a podcast, and I hope you're enjoying it. I hope you're enjoying all the things that we bring to you, from prayers to meditations to entertainment to shows like this, the Vibrant Living Hour. I hope that you're getting value from them, and I hope you really, really, really are enjoying what we do and what we bring to you. So that, I think, is pretty much all I have for you today. If you have any questions, any thoughts you'd like to ask me about, just you can find me at ken@ntmedia.org, or you can reach me at teamrockitnow@gmail.com, and that's rocket like rocket, baby, not rocket ship. Rocket like rocket, baby. teamrockitnow@gmail.com. If there's anything that I talk about in the way of nutritionals that you would like to know more about, please don't hesitate to ask. I'm more than happy to tell you all about them. And if there's something I can do for you to help you, I would be absolutely thrilled to do that. As always, I am immensely grateful for the incredible blessing of your time and your attention. I wish you all the love and blessings that the universe has to offer. And I hope you will join me next Tuesday. And I hope maybe some of you will watch this in the archives and enjoy the heck out of it. But until next time, namaste.